the challenges of how we produce food, who produces it, the habits that are developed, is really the future of the planet in terms of climate, in terms of water, in terms of nourishment, health. And your focus here on things that we are doing now that's part of a revolution in terms of our approach to food, to agriculture, to sustainability. As I travel the country, as we work on agricultural policy, I'm excited about what I hear people doing at the neighborhood level, in terms of beginning farmers, in terms of experimentation in sustainability. One of the concerns I have, frankly, is that the federal government is sort of out to lunch on this movement. We have a farm bill that informs and defines our attitudes towards food and agriculture and health. And let me just cut to the chase. We pay too much to the wrong people to grow the wrong food, the wrong way, in the wrong places. We are in the midst of reauthorizing the Farm Bill. This will be, I think, the fifth time I've been through this bizarre exercise in Congress. And after the last one, I just walked away because I was stunned, because the process did not reflect what America needs and wants, what we heard from a wide variety of people. So I went on a little experiment in Oregon. I spent the better part of 2 years traveling around asking people, what would a farm bill look like if it was just for Oregon? Would it look anything like the monstrosity that we just passed? And I found, as I traveled, that people in Oregon were much less concerned about subsidy, more concerned about innovation. They were concerned about conservation, about nutrition, access to food. We ended up putting together kind of a fun little report. It's available online on my website that encapsulates that. And then we translated the report into a 152-page piece of legislation. Because one of the problems we've had historically, and some of you may have read the great essay by Marilyn Nussel, the nutrition professor at NYU, who tried to teach a class on the Farm Bill because she wanted to understand it. And the essay is, "The Farm Bill drove me crazy." Marion concluded, nobody understands the Farm Bill. It's purposely designed in terms of complexity. The people who benefit from specific narrow provisions, they understand it. Not so much people in Congress. And the concerns of the public get lost. Which is why we've introduced a piece of legislation that reflects what we heard that would make a difference for Oregon, that we might be able to get people united behind. But you know something? A farm bill that works for Oregon works for the state of Washington. It works for California, the most diverse agricultural state in the country. And it works for New York and Pennsylvania, Portland, Maine. The people who benefit from the current system tend to be big food, commodity producers. They get 94% of the federal support. And it encourages practices that are actually destructive. Even the conservation title. Only 1 in 4 applications for federal conservation aid get approved. And there's no requirement that they are producing conservation outcomes. So in the bill, we're suggesting that it has to be tied to performance. No more giving farmers scarce conservation dollars for doing what they have to do anyway. Not hog lagoons and fencing. Let's get real about how we use the conservation dollars. And so forth. I won't go through all of the outline of the bill, although the Food and Farm Act is available online on my website in summary form. And you can see what we would do to rein in the subsidies, to reform crop insurance. Crop insurance, by the way, in some cases, people get paid for planting crops they know will fail. And for people who grow food, the specialty crops. Let's ban that term. It's food, fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries. They don't have meaningful crop insurance in the main. It's for industrial operations. Well, I suggest that we are part of the largest coalition for any major issue before Congress. Think about who's in this room and what you care about. Anybody concerned about animal welfare? Access to food for poor people. You've heard that the average age of a farmer, I didn't know it was 58.3. I've just been using 58 years of age. Being able to have beginning farmers have access. Minority farmers who have been discriminated against, systematically discriminated against. Think about anybody concerned. We just passed the largest transfer of wealth in our nation's history, giving hundreds of billions of dollars to people who don't need it, and exploding the deficit. $2.3 trillion paid by you and our kids and our grandchildren to fund those unneeded tax breaks. Anybody concerned about the deficit? Anybody here concerned? Is it possible to take the $500 billion that will be invested in this farm bill and maybe do a better job with a little less money? Any appeal to you with that? Think about the range of people who care about what you care about. I've been in meetings on our approach to the Farm Bill where Ken Cook's folks, the Environmental Working Group, and the Koch brothers, the Heritage Foundation, and the PIRGs. It's a pretty broad spectrum who care about food, about justice. The Farm Bill will be the #1 health bill that will be considered in this Congress. And we are literally subsidizing a diet that makes Americans sick. And the Farm Bill shapes that. I appreciate Danielle talking about the global implications. We ship surplus American products, subsidized around the world to people in need, and undercut local agriculture and force the sale of American agriculture there. We would be so much better off if we just gave them money and encouraged their own production. The taxpayer would save, and they would be strengthened. These are things we can do in the legislation, at home and abroad. And I am hopeful that people do not just accept the fact that big food, industrial meat production, the commodity producers are going to dominate what happens with this bill. It doesn't have to be that way. There are more of us than there are of them. What I've attempted to do with the Food and Farm Act, with my report, I even have a 16-page illustrated guide, The Fight for Food, available on my campaign website, because I can't print it in my office because it's advocacy, and you're damn right it's advocacy. It is a fight for food. It is a fight for our future in terms of water, in terms of carbon, in terms of justice, in terms of a sustainable economy, the health of the American people, the health of our economy. And I think if we could come together for a farm bill that works for America, it would teach Congress maybe they can work together on other things as well. Thank you for the opportunity to share.